Middle school math teacher, if you've been wanting to get started with stations, but really just want the down and dirty, easiest steps to get started, this video is for you. I'm going to be sharing with you my 3 not so secret but super easy ways to get started with stations so that you can quickly and easily get up and running and really start to make a difference in your students and effectively really reach all of the learners in your classroom. So let's dive in, shall we? Step number 1. The number one thing I want you to really understand about stations is that it is meant to be used as review only. When I first got started, this was probably the biggest mistake that I made, and it's one of the biggest mistakes that I see many teachers make is that they're trying to teach new concepts while in stations, and this does not work. Stations is meant for review only. So you have to think to yourself, okay, how do I structure my class so that I'm still teaching, I'm still getting that direct instruction, but using stations in a review capacity so that I can continue to differentiate, I can continue to work with all of my students. This is how stations is meant to be used, okay? Number 2, decide on a few different stations ideas that you can use. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. That is certainly not the point. But what are some things that you can easily start to pull, you can easily use right now to help you get started? So these can be things like, but certainly not limited to, task cards, if you already have access to those, coloring pages, if you have board games, physical board games in your class, or like printable board games. I make a lot of my own printable board games and use them in class. What are some technology pieces that you use? Does your school have, subscriptions to some of these larger technology pieces? Maybe you could even access free things like making a Kahoot for your class or making a quizzes for your class. Something that, well, Kahoot's more whole groups, maybe that won't work, but quizzes for sure can be more individualized. Can you use your textbook? Is there a workbook that pairs with your textbook? Can you use makeup work? How about test corrections? These are just some ideas that you could start, hopefully it will kind of help start turning the wheels a little bit of things that you have easy access to. And then number 3, the most important, one of the most important steps when you are getting started with stations is to introduce one station at a time. And that means introducing one activity at a time. So you are grouping your class as if they were in their small group, in their station already, but instead of having one group working on a textbook page, one group working in technology, one group working with you, if you are starting, we're not doing that. That's like jumping from elementary school to a PhD from, when you're 5. It's too much, okay? So what I want you to do is I want you to group your students. It doesn't matter what group they're in at this point, okay? You just want to group them together, and then you want them all to complete the same assignment. So if some of them have never worked with task cards before, this is the reason to make sure everybody is doing the same assignment. Even if they have all worked with task cards, and I'm just using task cards as an example, this can be any activity that you want your students to use in stations. Even if they have used this activity before, you want to start off everybody using the same activity so that we're all on the same page of what to do. We are setting the expectation of how you as a teacher want the work to be shown, what the expectation of neatness is, what to do after, what to do before. You can answer all of those questions before we are introducing multiple stations. There you have it, my 3 easy steps to getting started with stations. And if you want more ideas, if you want a PD certificate, if you want freebies, if you want the full gamut of really everything that I've learned in how to successfully implement stations, come join us for our next free training. Use the link in the description box and sign up. There are plenty of dates and times available that will work for your schedule. Until next time, bye for now.